Hey everyone, this is Yami, your Latina next door. Welcome back to my channel and my home. In this video, I am going to show you a couple of spring DIYs that can not only be used for spring, but also special occasions like St. Patrick's Day, as well as throughout the year. They are extremely versatile and I cannot wait to share them with you. So if you're interested, please keep watching. Now, before we get started, I have a quick disclaimer about my channel. Those of you who have been following me may have already caught on, but if you haven't, or if you are new, here is what I'm talking about. Now, as many of you know, I like the coastal farmhouse style. It's basically a marriage between farmhouse and the Hamptons. And while I like creating many things on a budget, I like everything to look nice and high-end, clean, crisp, and streamlined in my home because I enjoy that nice airy feel. With that being said, I don't overly decorate for every single season, except for Christmas, but that's later on in the year. So I'm not gonna be bringing a ton of spring decor videos because it's gonna bring up three little issues. It's gonna bring up, one, you're gonna have to increase your budget to make more crafts. Two, you're gonna have to figure out where the heck you're gonna put these things when the season is over, so you're gonna have to start thinking about storage solutions. And three, it's gonna create a lot of clutter. And again, I don't really like too many knickknacks everywhere throughout my home. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't like decorating, I just like to do it a little bit more subtly. So I hope you get what I am trying to do as far as my channel is concerned. Some people like a lot of bunnies and carrots for Easter, and that's okay. Others don't. And I'm just trying to tell you that I only create things on my channel and share them with you if I am actually going to use them. The last thing I want is to have a whole bunch of crafts that I did for just the channel and not actually use them in my home. So if you appreciate that concept and understand what I'm trying to do with my channel, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up to let me know. And with all that being said, let's get started with today's DIYs. Now for my first DIY, I am using these candle holders that were left over in my stash from last year. Now, if you don't have any of these, you can use any kind of leftover candle holders. You can use other styles, something that's thrifted. This actually is totally up to you. You can use whichever kind you want. So I got my Martha Stewart tilled soil paint. You guys have seen me use this time and time again. And I gave everything 2 coats. Then after those were dry, I took some of my acrylic paint in the color Country Twill, and I used a chip brush in order to dry brush it all over those candlesticks. Then the last step was to take the Home Decor Antique Wax by Folkart and using a lint-free cloth and applying it all over those candle holders. You guys are going to see what it's going to do to it. Now what you're going to want to do is rub that antique wax into those candle holders, and it is going to make those dull browns look so amazing. It's going to look like wood. Now here is what the candlestick looks like before the wax, and as you can see, it's pretty dull, and here is what it looks like afterwards. So for the next step, I got these vases from Dollar Tree, and I was able to find the really tall one as well as the regular size one that they carry all the time. But since they don't have any that are shorter, I went ahead and used one of my old used Yankee Candle vases. This works absolutely perfect, and if you have any at home, I would suggest you save those. So after cleaning all of those vases very well, I used my E6000 to apply it all around the bottom border of them. And then I went ahead and added a couple of dots of hot glue so that way it would stick on right away. And then I just placed them on top of the candlesticks. You're going to want to make sure that they're completely dry before you go to the next step. I wanted to add some green to this, not only for spring but also for St. Patty's Day, and I used green split peas for this. Then I took these white candles from Dollar Tree and I added them to those candle holders. And here is the finished product. So the reason I like these projects so much is because you can take this idea of the green split peas and change them up for every season. Let's just say you want to do something for fall. You can use dried corn for a wreath or a candle holder. Also, you want to change this up for Halloween. Well, guess what? You can use black beans. So for the next project, I decided to create 2 green split pea wreaths. I would have used some of the Dollar Tree foam wreaths, however, they were a little bit thinner and larger than I wanted. I kind of wanted them to be a little bit smaller and a little bit thicker, so I went with these hay ones from my local Hobby Lobby, and they were $2.99 a piece, but I did get them for 40% off, so they were under $2. Now the plastic string was coming off on some of the areas of the hay wreath, so I just basically took some of my very old ribbon and just started wrapping it really tightly around the wreath so it wouldn't get undone. Obviously this wouldn't happen if you use a foam wreath, but this is just what I did because I used this hay wreath just because the size was perfect for me. Now, in order to keep those hay pieces at bay, I also added some Mod Podge all the way around it so it would seal everything. Then I took a tray, added some wax paper to the bottom, and poured my split peas inside. Then I applied more Mod Podge onto the wreath and used that to adhere the split peas onto it. I use that method throughout most of the wreath, and then for smaller little sections like this, I use my hot glue gun to apply the remaining split peas. Now after all of the split peas were adhered, I used satin Mod Podge and applied it all over the wreath. And I chose satin because if you look closely at split peas, they're a little bit shiny. They're not glossy, but they're not matte. And finally, I wanted to add a bow, so I found this really pretty khaki colored ribbon over at Hobby Lobby that I got for 50% off with a cute little thread detail on the ends. I wrapped one ribbon and went around the wreath and hot glued the 2 ends together. I took another piece of ribbon and basically hot glued it into a loop. Then with a separate piece of ribbon, I tied it to the center of that second loop to create a bow. This gave me a little bit more control over what the bow looks like in the end. And then I used a lighter to prevent my edges from fraying, and then hot glued the bow onto that little piece that went around the wreath. Then I used a little piece of twine and made a little loop. I used some hot glue and attached it to the back of that bow in order for me to hang it. I also used a little bit of E6000 at the very end as well. And this is the finished product. You see a lot of boxwood wreaths for farmhouse styles. You also see a lot of people using the moss and making, you know, those moss wreaths, which are all very beautiful, and I've done them myself. But this brings a little bit of a different texture, a little bit of a different grain, and something that you can even place, just think about it, you can put this wreath over a beautiful hood vent above your stove in your kitchen, and it would work perfect because it's food. So I'm really interested in finding out which one of these is your favorite. And if you would change it up a little bit, what would you do to it? Let me know in the comments below. Now I got some more spring DIYs your way that you can incorporate in spaces like this. I can't wait to share them with you all. Make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss out. And I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, adios.